Hey everybody, welcome back to Plugged In Radio. This is the show where we invite WordPress developers, WordPress personalities, people who work for WordPress plugin companies, like John Hawkins, our guest today, and they take us down the path of using their plugins, giving us some good use cases, demonstrating how to use their plugins for our particular businesses, our organizations. If we're a consultant, this is a great way to learn how you can apply these pieces of software, features, functions, services into your business, into your tool belt to make you a little bit more money in your consulting space, right? This show is brought to you by our guest today, the great folks over at Pluginize, in fact. And they have a suite of professional plugin tools for WordPress to help developers become more powerful developers, beginners, intermediate folks to become more experienced with WordPress and getting out the projects that they need to get done for their clients. And also Restrict Content Pro, if you're looking for one of the easiest WordPress plugin tools to get a membership site up and running, backed by a trustworthy team, just like the folks over at Pluginize. Restrict Content Pro is the plugin for you, backed by Pippin's Plugins and his team over there doing a phenomenal job. You can get that at Restrict Content Pro. John, welcome to the program.
Hey, thanks so much for having me.
Thank you for making this streaming dreaming possible. And after about 17 hours of technical difficulties, we have finally got the show up and running.
I think we started this recording last Tuesday, so we're good.
We've been at it for quite some time. Today we're going to take a look at at the company Pluginize, the company that you're working for now, and Web Dev Studios, and we're going to specifically focus on custom post type UI, which I have up on the screen. 300,000 active installs on the WordPress repo, 4.6 out of 5 stars, with over 100 5-star ratings, and updated 2 days ago. Good on you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Good on you. That's the typical rundown when one goes to say, hey, is this plugin going to be good for my website? We take a look at those ratings. We take a look at when it was last updated. We see how many active installs it has. So definitely one of the shining plugins in our WordPress repo. For folks
for a tool that kind of does kind of one thing and does it well, there's kind of a lot behind it, and we have an active development cycle. I mean, we're constantly putting new stuff into it, small little bits at a time, so it's constantly updated, which is great.
So for folks who don't know who you are, I've had you on the Matt Report. We've talked business before, the WordPress side of business, but you're in this new endeavor now. You're working at Web Dev, you're working at Pluginize, you're heading up their products. Give folks the rundown of who you are and what you do over there.
Yeah, I joined Web Dev Studios earlier this year, back in February, and it's been an absolutely perfect fit. I've really enjoyed my time here so far, and looking forward to kind of staying here for the rest of my life if they'll have me. But as I came in, we started up Pluginize, which was going to be the product side of the business. Web Dev Studios is very much a client-focused company. We do tons of sites for big names that you've heard of, and so there's a whole bunch of code that has been sitting around that they have built and honed over the years, and so the idea was we should turn some of this stuff into some plugins, and actually just having they've already released something like 30 plugins even before I had come on, so just kind of having somebody come in and maybe turn some of those existing free plugins into products that could be sold, and not only that, but just even somebody to be looking at those other plugins that are already out there and just kind of giving some of them a roadmap. And for some of those, that means killing them off, and for some it means hey, there's a lot of features that could be added to these, and we just need to get back into there, get under the hood, and figure out what's going on, and just build a roadmap. So just something to kind of shepherd all of that stuff, and that's what I've been doing, and it's been a really good fit for me.
I think a lot of folks have to appreciate that when a plugin provider or when you look at a plugin company, right? So I have this thing called the Fuse. It's like it's just this little acronym for fit, usability, support, and ecosystem, right? When you go to select a plugin, sort of how we looked at the stats for custom post type UI, you start with fit, right? That's the F in Fuse, right? Does this fit my particular project? Does it fit my workflow? Does the company fit my support cycle? Are you a company that's going to be sort of this quick flash in the pan? Is this your first plugin kind of thing?
Right.
No, for web dev and for Pluginize, there's a big WordPress agency behind it, right?
Yeah.
And not just the amount of team dedicated to creating products, but there's boots on the ground or ears on the ground where the particular client problems that they face, and that's going to be reinvested into creating solid plugins. Is there, and I know, again, I try to keep business and that kind of thing separate in the Matt report, but I just can't help myself. Is there a sort of feedback cycle, community outreach that maybe you do, that web dev does with their client work, and then sort of cycle that back or recycle that into plugin work? Or does that just come naturally from the development cycles that happen?
Well, I mean, I think you could, if you look at our list of plugins, it's pretty easy to see that so many of them are actually built from a client need. We like, obviously CPT UI, everybody needs custom post types, and that's been around for quite a while. But so many of the other plugins that we've released probably started off as some sort of a feature that a client needed, and we're always right up front with clients. If we would never release anybody's secret sauce, but if there's something that we build that's a generic tool, we'll reach out to the client and say, look, this is something that can kind of better the greater good, the greater community, and we're going to release it. And we've never run into a problem where people are been like, no, I don't want you to do that, because they all get it. WordPress is a free tool that we all benefit from, and while they may pay us to build large portions of their sites and functionality, there's still dozens of plugins that we don't build, we don't maintain, that we get to use for free on clients' projects that just benefits the clients. So kind of turning that back around and then releasing those as kind of free tools, it's just obvious, isn't it? I don't know. Yeah. It just seems such like a slam dunk to me. So
yeah. No, I totally agree. Right, just taking a look at the pluginize.com website, have it up on the screen for those of you just listening to the podcast. There's a tremendous value from watching this on the YouTube channel, youtube.com/plugintut, because John's going to demonstrate CPT UI today. But again, looking at the pluginize.com website, trusted by brands Microsoft, Discovery Communications, Campbell's brand, Uber. So, really reinforcing that big brands, powerful web-based companies are using the software that Pluginize is developing. So good stuff. Taking a look at the products, and I'm interested to know sort of where you see the best customer avatar, the best fit customer for the Pluginize products, right? So I'm looking at a plugin called Buddy Pages, of course, custom post type UI extended, which we'll take a look at today. There's CMB2, there's App Buddy Bundle, Buddy Extender, Buddy Press registration options, a whole host of different different products here. Where do you see Pluginize fitting in for the perfect WordPress customer?
I think there's two actually, and it's kind of that the first one is the website builder. It's somebody who maybe doesn't have a heck of a lot of technical chops, but they're trying to find all the different tools to make something happen. Like you said, the BuddyPress tools that we've got out there. If you're building a BuddyPress website, there's just some things that some of our plugins can kind of help you do without having to go and learn how to get under the hood and build them yourself. So for the website builder, we have a bunch of different plugins that become very, very handy. CPT UI is a great example of that, where it's something that's going to let you not necessarily have to get under the hood, but then you could if you want to. And so that's kind of leads into the second type of perfect client for us is that maybe it's not the hardcore developer, who does everything on the command line and builds everything from scratch and blah, blah, blah. But maybe that junior to mid-level developer who is looking to save some time. Custom post type UI is a perfect example of something. I mean, I've been using it long before I've worked at web dev, and it's just something that saves me time. So why wouldn't I use it? I can, and I'll show this in the demo here, but I mean, I can build a custom post type in a matter of seconds, and then I can actually export that code, wrap it into a plugin that I'm building for a client, and be on my way. So I don't necessarily have to keep CPT UI installed for the client. So it's those types of clients that we're looking for, that we're just trying to make life easier for developers.
Looking at the pricing on some of these products, and again, specifically custom post type UI extender, CPT UI extender today, $19. EDD CyberSource Gateway, $49. I'm very used to seeing sort of multiple tiers in pricing. Is this sort of all you can eat for $19 and $49, or are these single site licenses? Does Pluginize get into that sort of pricing model, or is it just, hey, it's $49, you got it for a year, and we'll keep you updated, that kind of thing?
Yeah, I mean, right now we don't have any tiered licensing. We've talked about it, and it may come. Part of that has to do with, like, right now we're on WooCommerce, and just kind of the way that some of that stuff was working from a display standpoint, and how easy it was for clients to understand what the heck it was that they were going to be getting for that. It just kind of made sense to kind of go with keep it simple, stupid. Don't
Sure.
As soon as you confuse somebody, you've lost them, and they're not going to buy from you anyway. So we wanted to keep so we wanted to keep it really simple, but. So as it stands right now, if you buy any of the plugins, you're free to use it on an unlimited amount of sites. We do try to limit the support. And if anybody asks us, hey, how does the support work? We try to limit it to, we'll give you support for one website. If you're running into multiple issues across multiple websites, then we'd ask you to purchase a second support license for that. But I think that's may have happened one time since February. So support is really kind of where we shine. So when you were talking about having those, the boots on the ground, I think that's kind of what really, I don't want to say sets us apart, but it's really kind of a shining star for us, because we've got a support team that is so quick to respond. We were actually joking yesterday that they might actually think everything is automated, but it's not. We've got somebody who's just paying attention basically 24/7 and getting back to people faster than they expect most often. So pretty excited.
Does Pluginize use a particular support workflow? Is it like Help Scout? Is it live chat? Help Scout.
Help Scout, hands down, easiest. Again, this is something else we were just talking about last week, which was, we've seen this with so many different plugin tools and teams across the internet for decades, where people will start off, hey, I'm going to build this plugin or product or whatever. I'm going to put it out there. So for the support, I'm going to open up a support forum, and they do that for a little while, and then they end up realizing that, man, this is a pain in the ass to manage. I can't really tell when stuff is completed, and does that guy still need help, and yada, yada, yada. So we've switched more to the, ask us a question via email through Help Scout. Anything that goes to support at Pluginize goes straight into Help Scout, and we can get those knocked out like super quick. And then if you use tools in Help Scout like the not auto reply, but the the stored snippets for responses, because you will get the same question over and over and over again because you don't have that support form, and we're okay with that. That is totally fine with us, because we can answer those questions super quick.
Sure.
So
yeah, no, it makes total sense. It's a great platform. Let's dive into custom post type UI. I'm just going to pull up first I'm going to pull up the plugin page, and then I'll pull up your screen here.
Sure.
Custom post type UI. This is a plugin, the one that's in the free repo, to help developers build custom post types and custom taxonomies in WordPress. So if you are new, and by the way, John, you said your landscaper company might show up today. My neighbors just showed up too. So if anybody's
Perfect.
hearing a weed whacker and some lawnmowers, that's on my side right now. It helps WordPress developers build these custom post types and custom taxonomies. If you are new to custom post types, if you landed on this podcast or this video looking to explore what this is all about, for the most simplistic term, and I'll let you sort of take over if you want, John, to expand upon it, but this is what makes WordPress a true content management system. It goes beyond pages and posts inside of WordPress, and now you can create, from a very small level, you could create team pages, small inventory pages, product pages. Sure, there are other solutions out there. Like somebody would say, yeah, you would use WooCommerce, but what about if you only have 3 or 4 products or 3 or 4 services? Custom post types, a feature that is sort of built into WordPress, for lack of a better phrasing, it helps you extend WordPress to organize this content and manage the content. Again, become a true content management system. Have I sort of hit that right? Is there anything else you'd add to what a custom post type is?
Yeah, the way that I always explain it is you're already familiar with post types and you don't even know it. Are you showing my screen at the moment?
I will right now.
All right. So let me just, real quickly, you've got your pages here, you got your posts, your media, your comments. Those are all post types in WordPress, and really all we're talking about is a way that WordPress stores data behind the scenes. That's what a post type is. Yep. So if you look right here where we're talking about forms, this is Gravity Forms here, they're using a custom post type, and they've got their own post type called GF forms or something along those lines, but that's how they store their data. And so a custom post type is really just another way to create a bucket of data that is going to be outside of your standard pages and posts. So a really simple one to think about is your employees. You wouldn't want to, if you were going to have a directory of employees, you wouldn't want to create those as posts, because you wouldn't want John Smith going out in your RSS feed and the information about John Smith. That's not the way that you want that to work. And you don't necessarily want that in pages, because you could have a large content site, and it probably makes way more sense to have those employees in a separate bucket that is easily defined and then manageable, and then you could do specific things with those around templating, etc. So
absolutely. Let's dive right into CPT UI. For the free version, the one that's obviously readily available in WordPress.org, what is available to us, and I guess what is sort of 1 or 2 sort of killer features or sticking points that a WordPress developer or even an intermediate to beginner developer might be able to harness the power of?
Sure. So custom post type UI. This is, you kind of already explained it. It makes it super simple to create custom post types or taxonomies. So just to give you a quick idea, if I'm creating a custom post type here, let's say I was going to, we'll do the employees. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just real quickly try to spell it right. It's gonna. These 3 settings up here are really the only ones that that you need to mess with yourself. So you're gonna set what the slug is, what the plural version and the singular version, and then down below you've got a lot of different settings. Custom post types, or post types in general, they have a lot of customization that you can do. So there's tons of different labels that you can do. CPT UI behind the scenes sets a lot of the defaults for you as to what would be what the assumed would be, so you don't necessarily have to go fill all these in. And then same thing down towards the bottom when you get to the settings, there's, do you want this stuff to be public, or do you want to show it in the UI? And each one of these has a little bit of kind of technical bits behind the scenes. But if you take a look at this, knowing what the code looks like behind the scenes to create a custom post type, you can see where the value of CPT UI comes into play. You don't have to go and create all of this stuff manually each time that you want to create a post type.
Right. Yeah, no, that's really powerful right there.
So here's some of the extended stuff, and I'm gonna just skip over that for now because it's not gonna really come into play. So I'm gonna go and create that custom post type, and now you'll see over here on the on the left hand side, I now have right next to my posts and my pages and my comments, I've got this new post type called employees. So I can very easily come in here and I can create a new post type for John Smith. I could set a featured image for him, etc. Put in his biography, whatnot, and now I can go ahead and I'm going to just publish this one real quick, just so you can get a general idea. But this is now the exact same thing. Like you're already familiar with dealing with pages and posts. This is exactly what you've just built. So now, I'm going to take this one step further. So you can also create taxonomies. So let's say I wanted to create a taxonomy for my employees. Like I want to know what department they work in. And now what I can do is I can tell the CPT UI to tell WordPress, I only want this post type or this taxonomy attached to this particular post type. And the reason I do that is because if I don't, what's going to happen is employees would then show up as a taxonomy. So if you hover over posts, you've got categories and tags. These are both taxonomies. Sure. So I wouldn't want the department to be listed under posts, right? I only want this under my employees. So now I can very easily, here's my departments. I can easily create a new, there's the PM department, etc.
And I like to uncover some of these, and as you continue to sort of build that out there, what I like to do is sort of uncover these hidden opportunities. And again, if you're an advanced WordPress user, you've been doing this for some time, some of these things come naturally to you because you've been building projects for people. But if this is new to you, right, if this is something that you're exploring for the very first time, I mentioned before that custom post types really help unlock the power of WordPress as a content management system. Many of us think of, hey, I'm a WordPress designer, developer, and I build marketing sites for people. So there's always like that sort of marketing brochureware, consumer-facing website solution for WordPress.
Sure.
But when you start to see these things, it really starts to expand the potential of WordPress, not just for a consumer-facing website, but for an intranet, microsites for, private networks, again, inventory sites, web apps that are, not just basic consumer websites, but things you're starting to do to store and organize content and data.
Absolutely.
That go, beyond just buy my products or here's my blog kind of thing. So very powerful stuff.
Yeah, and I mean, if you think of any sort of project that you start, whether it's a new client that you've got coming in the door or something that you're planning on doing yourself, when you start thinking about the power of CPTs themselves, it really makes you kind of take a step back and go, okay, before we start building this website, let's talk about the data. Let's figure out what data we have and how best to kind of manage that data so that it's not all stored in posts and it's not all stored in pages, and we have a way to very easily, so like now that I've created this employees post type and start filling that in with data, I can now focus on creating a specific template that would be just for those employees. So if I wanted the employees page layout to look different than a blog post or a page, which I'm almost always going to, I can now do that. And now that's going to be tied directly and only to the employees, and it's not going to affect the rest of my site. So yeah, I mean, the power behind this it's staggering. It is what takes WordPress from being just a blog and from making a brochure style website into being an actual content management system that you can, unlimited what you can do with WordPress at this point.
Sure. Yeah.
But you knew that. That's why you use it.
And everybody listening to this show realizes that, right? Or at least we hope that they do eventually. Diving back into the CPT UI, the free version, if you could just hover over some of the settings there and kind of just walk through some of on the left-hand side in the admin section, just taking us down some of the other settings that are available. Import, export, those types of things. What are those? What does that cover for somebody who's using the plugin?
I'm glad you brought that up. This is something that is, so let's say I've created my employees. So even as a developer, when I'm working on a project, I don't necessarily, if I'm going to be handing this off to a client, I don't necessarily want my client to have access to come in here, look at CPT UI, click on this, and then click on edit post types and say, oh, what does this button do? Delete post type. That can't cause any problems, right? So one of the great things that you can do over here is I can go to the registered post types side here, and I can get a list of all of the different post types that I've created. So here's the employees one that I created, and here's the taxonomy one that I created. And if I click on Get Code, and this is probably one of the most powerful little features. And like I was telling you, I've been using CPT UI for way longer than what I've worked at web dev. But so from here, I can now get this chunk of code right in here, and I can highlight and copy this. So if I copy this, I can now take this chunk of code and I could paste this into a plugin that I'm working on for a client, or I can paste this into into the functions file of a theme, and I can include this to generate the custom post type for that client without them actually having to have CPT UI installed. So one of the things that I do a lot is I will, on my local install, I'll have CPT UI installed. I'll set up the custom post type, and I can go back and forth, and I can continually edit those change all of those settings. But then once I'm done, right before I'm ready to launch this to the client, I'll come in here, I'll grab this chunk of code, and I'll paste that into a like a core functionality plugin that I build for the client. And then when I go to launch this for the client, CPT UI doesn't even need to be installed for them. So it's a really awesome developer tool that, like I said, just kind of makes it super simple and makes it real quick. So I could do that here for the post type, and I could do the same for the taxonomy. So
yeah, that's a nice little feature. I do like that.
Yeah.
So and one more time, just so I make sure I understand. Sorry, let me move
Sure.
my mouse away from your mouse, so I'm not controlling your screen. One would create the custom post type, the taxonomies locally on their installation for the client, export it through CPT UI here, and then install CPT UI on the customer site. Import.
Don't even need to.
Don't even need to.
No. So if I take this and put this as part of a custom post, as part of a like a core functionality plugin, I would just install that core functionality plugin and activate it, and then this right here is the register post type code. This is what's needed behind the scenes for WordPress to generate this right here.
Beautiful. Beautiful stuff. Like
Yeah.
that a lot. All right, let's take a look at the extender, right? The extended version. One that would sort of be more familiar in saying like, hey, I want the pro version of this. I want the upgrade of this. Somebody says, why do I need this? What's it going to do for me that CPT UI from the repo isn't doing for me already?
So actually, I'm going to real quickly, just because I track the traffic that comes from this, and it's pretty incredible how many times people click this link. But so if you go to the help/support section, we've got a fairly decent set of function FAQs and things like this. But we link you off to the docs as well. This is the support, but we've also got us. Docs.pluginize.com, so you can get up there and there's tons of documentation. But the way that I explain it is that CPT UI does not handle the display of the post types. This is an easy way for you to create the post types itself. But if you're looking for data display, then we ask you to take a look at custom post type UI extended. So let me show you how that works, because it is pretty straightforward and it makes it super simple for somebody, again, who doesn't necessarily want to get under the hood but wants an easy way to maybe show things off. And I'll show you a couple of different examples. So here I created a page for us here called Plugged In Radio. Now this is a local version of my own website, so I don't really have a lot of anything like products or things like that to show. But this is going to really just be an example to give you a quick idea of kind of the power of it, and then where you could take it from there is kind of unlimited. So from here, this is really aimed at kind of the non-developer who's looking for an easy way to be able to display some code. Give me 1 second. I'm just going to. So let me grab a little lorem ipsum here. I'm going to just throw this in here. So let's say that I've got a page or a post or something like this, and I want to display some additional custom post type content right in the middle of this. So with CPT UI extended, you end up with this menu button right in the WYSIWYG editor, and it brings up a modal where from here it's going to go ahead and pull in a list of all of the different post types. So you can see here's my posts, here's my pages, employees, which is the one that I created a minute ago. But if you've got EDD installed, or if you've got WooCommerce installed, those are going to show up in here, your products or your downloads. Those are going to show up as post types that you can now pull in and display in the middle of an existing page or post. So I'm going to just go ahead and use posts as my example here. And then down here, these shortcodes to embed, these are different types, different things that you can, different ways to display the data. So default is going to be a list, there's a single post, there's a bullet point list, etc. We even built in a very easy way to do a slider. Slider is actually pretty cool, but I'm gonna jump over here into the default for a second, and then it's going to give us some additional options. So I'm going to just say some random post here. And yes, I wanted to include my featured image. And if I want, I can decide which posts I want it to display. So I'm going to select those. So there's a bunch of other settings, but I'm going to just kind of skip those for the sake of kind of keeping this short. I'm going to go ahead and insert that. And you'll see that it's inserted my shortcode right here into the middle. So let me update this post real quick. When I say real quick, obviously, I mean internet speed real quick.
Yeah, listen, there's nothing going fast for us today.
No. So if I open this post, so you can see here's my lorem ipsum, here's kind of the before, and then down here is kind of the after. But what I've done right in the middle is I've now kind of inserted, here's my title, and then I've got the featured image, my post title, and a blurb. So as you can see, this becomes a really easy way for you to add some content right in the middle. So if I didn't have this lorem ipsum and I didn't put this title on here, I could rename the page to whatever the heck I wanted. Let's say I wanted this to be my 5 favorite products or whatever. So one of the ways that I've been using this myself has been when I'm writing blog posts about specific products on Pluginize, and I want to kind of include that. I can with the I don't think of course I don't have an example handy, but if I'm talking about custom post type UI extended, if I'm writing about a blog post, I can actually do the insert using the EDD WooCommerce, extension or template with only one product, and it's going to include the add to cart button right in there. So It's a really easy way for somebody who maybe isn't real technical and doesn't want to have to go looking for how to do things. Now straight from the straight from right inside the WYSIWYG editor. In the WYSIWYG editor, you can pull that in and display that content.
That's great. It's an amazing tool. Makes it easy. Now, does the extender require CPT UI, or can anybody pull in from any other data point, I guess, for lack of a better term here, from WordPress? In other words, does it have to be a custom post type?
So the data. Go ahead.
And does it have to be a custom post type created by CPT UI?
Great question. Great question, because that comes up a heck of a lot. So if you are going to use custom post type UI extended, then you do have to have CPT UI, the free version, installed as well. The extended does piggyback off of a lot of the functionality in the base plugin. So you do have to have that there. But once that's in place, now as you can see, like right here, where Wrong window. As you can see right here, posts and pages. These are both post types that I did not create using CPT UI at all. Employees is, but these
Right.
two are not.
Got it.
So it will actually pull in this list every single post type on your system. So EDD, if you have Easy Digital Downloads installed, it's going to pull in the the downloads. If you have WooCommerce, it's going to pull in the products. If you've got a theme that's got 75 different post types, well, it's going to pull all 75 of those in too. So
Sure.
it is a little bit of a fire hose. Sometimes I've seen it. I've seen on a couple of clients where they've got maybe 75 plugins installed and they've got some crazy theme. This list does get a little long. But really, it's doing is giving you access to just about everything that you want. It's been a lot of fun to work with.
What's next for CPT UI in terms of future developments? I mean, CPT UI extended seems like it could have its own sort of, that even that could be extended. I mean,
Oh yeah.
what's sort of any roadmap that you can lend to us today that would say, hey, here's what we're planning for the future, and here's where it's going next.
So I think a lot of our thoughts and our development path has to do with, again, just making things easier for kind of that junior level developer who's looking to do something very easily. And one of the ways that I think that we can kind of make that the easiest for them has to do with this templating. The way that this templating works behind the scenes, if you're a developer, there are so many hooks and filters in here. You can build out whatever templating you want, and you can then make it, which is really nice because our goal, our thought process is that, let's say that you're a developer and you're building something for a client that you're going to hand off. You can come into here and make like a unique. So I could create the Matt Medeiros template for your for your employees, just because that's what you wanted to use. So you can tie templates to specific post types, so that when you choose this, you'll notice that this list is actually different than this list, and that's because it's pulling in based on what's available. So you can create templates, make them super finite to exactly what you need. So again, I think really it's for us, we've already kind of built an EDD template, we've already built a WooCommerce template. So it's finding those other like really popular plugins that people are using, and then making it so that CPTUI extended will kind of improve your experience with that plugin as well. So that's probably the biggest thing that we've got under the hood at the moment. Everybody's has. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, obviously, I write a fair bit of content on Pluginize.com, some stuff over on WebDevStudios.com, but my personal stuff you can find me at VegasGeek.com or on any social platform as Vegas Geek. Our pleasure.